the actual basing that I use, this grey is sort of the general basing colour scheme and style that I use for all of my 40k figures. So you can, if it's a larger base, sometimes the glue will come off of the base, so you can give it just a little bit of a sanding down to start off with, and that helps the glue to stick. And then the glue that I use for the basing is PVA glue. Now you can get wood glue, but that dries and it can be quite brittle. You don't want that, so it must be PVA glue that's got a little bit of flex in it, and that's good for sticking down basing material. So PVA glue. If you've got a feature on a base that you want to remain in place, because PVA takes a long time to dry. This orc head, I worked on that, cut it how I wanted it, and then actually glued that in place with super glue. I used a bit of activators that it was instantly stuck there, as well as this plate here on the back, and then applied the PVA glue on top. And then as I worked on it, these pieces stayed in place and didn't move around as I was doing the rest of the base. So you can use super glue to fix certain parts onto the base. So then you take your PVA glue, and then just take an old brush, and then I just smear the glue around nice and neat up to the feet, all over the base, quite thick, not too much. And then once that's done, I sprinkle some Games Workshop, the old Games Workshop basing kit. They used to give you this kind of slate stuff. I'm sure you'll be able to pick it up from somewhere else, builders merchants or garden centres perhaps, or if there's a beach near you or something. You can just choose the stones and texture that you want, but I like this style, so I sprinkle some of those onto the PVA to start off with. And then after that, immediately then put it into my tub of sand, and it's just got regular sand in there plus some stones and gravel and bits, and I just put that in, flick the sand over the top, and then just bash off the spare and then leave it to dry, and that gives me that nice effect there on the base. That's the basing style done. Right, so we're going to move on to our first colour. So I take Codex Grey, and then just take a wash brush. You can use something a bit smaller if you want to. We're just looking to paint. I'm just going to remove the weapons here just to make the whole thing easier. So I've got my tissue here, or you can use a palette. I'm going to use a tissue because I want to control the amount of paint on the brush. Got the old Codex Grey, and then I just put some on the brush. Make sure the brush is covered, but I don't want a whole load on the brush. And then I just start highlighting the base. You want a good coverage, you don't want to flick it over, you want to sort of work it in, but because there's not a load of paint on the brush, you're not filling in the gaps. It's just giving a nice coverage to the base there. Starting to run out of paint, so you can just work it into the tissue, and that just takes the excess off, and then I can just work it in to the figure. If you go over the rim, just wet your finger and then rub the paint off. You just want to, I don't want to repaint. I never repaint the rims. I just keep it clean, and you don't have to do that again. That's time that's been saved. And I'm happy with that grey now. That's done. So nice and quick. Didn't really need to wash the brush out there. I'll tell you why. White is your next colour. Now with that, don't do what I did just here. Keep that grey on the brush, and then go straight to white. Dip into the white, and then work that in, because you don't want straight white. You want a light, very light grey. So that'll do fine. And you want to take a bit more paint off this time, and then you're looking to just more of a flick over the top this time, not as strong. You still want good coverage, but you're not working it in as much this time on the figure. That's coming out quite nice. That's looking good. And then just running around. That looks good. And then going up to the edge there. So that's your highlighting done. 2 stages. Makes a difference. You need to do that grey first. If you go straight on with white, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look faded. So it's grey first and then white. and that's done. Right, once that's dry on the base, you want to take Seraphim Sepia, and usually I'd take a smaller brush, base coat brush will do fine, and then you're just looking for effect now, because it's urban, sort of abandoned city theme here, so you've got the rubble on the ground, but I don't want just plain grey, I want to make it a little bit more organic, a bit more dirty, so I'm just adding in some wash here and just putting it in sort of puddles, working it around the base, and that just makes it, it just keys the base in just nice, brings another colour in. Make sure I get it around the feet, on the feet, shaded in there. It creates a little bit of shadow for the figure, and then that's about it. You can see the effect on the base there. Really, that's your basing done. All I do at the end is just apply, once that's totally dry, apply some PVA over the top, and then put your desired flock on top of the base, and that is it. The basing is finished. Right, the final stage of the basing is you've got your finished miniature, you're ready to go, almost ready to varnish. So you're just taking your PVA glue, it's the same glue that you use to do the base, and then for me this is urban terrain, so I don't want much grass on here, just want some. So with an old brush I just blob on the glue, just in rough patches, just sometimes skimming over the top of the little rocks, little clusters and patches here and there. You put on as much or as little as you want. If you made a mistake, you've dropped a bit of paint or something on the base, sometimes I just don't bother trying to repair it, I just blob on some glue, and then that repairs that just covers it up in grass. So you've got your glue on the base there, and it's just a case of moving your flock over the top, and then giving it a bit of a tap. Nice tap, save as much flock as you can, and then you just blow off the excess. I blow off the excess, and then I just use my fingers, thumb, just to rub the spare flock away from the base. That's your basing done. Just patchy grass on there, you've got the shading and the colouring, looks really nice. That green now adds a bit of a complementary colour to the whole figure itself. So I'm happy with how that's come out. That's how you do the basing.